We're going to talk about our state of the campaign. You know, if you've been to this conference before, that we always want to have kind of a baseline, right, for the conference. And so this first, the presentation is, like I said, kind of a state of the campaign. Think of it like a state of the union, state of the state type of thing, to figure out, where we've been, where we are, and of course, where we're going to go in the future. And so the goals of this is to do that, but this year it has some particular weight to it, because as many of you know, we've been having some conversations with some of our chair calls, with some of our communication via email, that we've been in a year-long process to put together a strategic plan. It's been a lot of work, but we finally are at the tail end of that, and we want to share some of that with you today. I think some things to understand about that is just that Money Smart Week for a long time, for our entire existence, really. I mean, what are we in the 14th year, going into 15th? We've never had a strategic plan. We've never had a long-term vision besides the only goals I had in my head, right? We never kind of mapped that out or put it on paper. So this was a long process, started in, a year ago, where we started with a Swot analysis, and we got a lot of that detailed information that then we hired in some additional folks to come in to help us build a strategic plan. And let me tell you, it was quite a process. If you know me, and some of you know me really well, interact with me a lot of time, I'm not a big fan of change, right? And so it was an adjustment. But I think it was such a valuable experience for me personally and for Money Smart Week because we were able to get some outside perspective, right? And in this entire process, we not only included the external vendor, but we included all of you. If you remember a year ago, we sent you a survey. We surveyed a lot of our senior leadership here at the bank. And we really wanted to decide, how are we going to survive our success, right? Because as you all know, Money Smart Week we have limited resources to put this together, and we have started to push up against those resources, and we've been having these conversations for a while now. So how do we survive our success and do it well? How do we grow up? How do we take the next step and become a campaign that's sustainable, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Money Smart Week, as you know, and as you heard at least talk about, we're everywhere. I mean, this is a major effort now. We are almost grown up, right? We're in all corners of the country. And the one thing that kind of I realized through this process is that, we have changed a lot already. I mean, you talk about the first year, a few hundred of people at the events, a handful of activities, and that was success. But once we started to, and I wasn't here for it, but we took it to another city after a couple of years, Detroit. We have a branch in Detroit. We took it there. You know this story, right? I'm sure that was a risk. That was a calculated risk, and there was a lot of change that had to happen as a result of launching this into a new market. A couple years after that, we launched in Milwaukee and Peoria, Illinois, without having any physical branch there for the Fed. So that was a huge risk. I went through that process, and I remember thinking how this is not going to work. But it did, right? So we have constantly adjusted to some of these growth challenges, and then we started getting calls from Houston and from New Jersey and all these other places that we want to do what you're doing. So we had to quickly develop an infrastructure so that all of you can plug into, right? So Money Smart Week has seen a lot of change, a lot of growth, a lot of progression over the years, and it's time to do it again. So as I said, and I said in my opening, We've been in a lot of places, and for me personally, this has been, like I said, my baby, and it's just been an honor working with all of you. I'm going to these, small corners of the country or in some of these big cities to launch Money Smart Week, and all the work that you've done, right? So, and I know I say this all the time, but I really mean it that Money Smart Week isn't possible with all of your hard work and activities, because, for example, when we first decided to take it into Milwaukee or Peoria, I was really skeptical. I didn't think we would do it without staff, without a facility on site, but it worked. Everyone kind of stepped up and did the work. So Money Smart Week has, again, we've seen a lot of growth, we've seen a lot of participation across the country, and it's made it what it is today. So just, showing you some slides, some photos. I mean, just all over the country, we've had all kinds of events, activities, promotional things that happened in Chicago, Iowa. We had the governor sign a proclamation. Lots of media involvement with that was Karen Shannon and Kelly Masters from Detroit. An event at the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City. So again, you see all the activities that are happening around Money Smart Week, and it's really made it Well, I went past El Paso too fast. El Paso's in the house, so I want to stop there. El Paso at a mall, launching Money Smart Week. So, again, you all know this because you live it, but the diversity of Money Smart Week is pretty incredible. And you know this stat. You've seen this with our on our infographic. You've seen the growth, and you know the numbers, right? And so again, just pushing up against some of those resources. So what has pushed that growth? Well, it's been the planning teams, right? So a lot of them are represented here today. We have that was the original model, right? How do we replicate what we're doing in Chicago with this coalition in all these different markets? And we have that. I think we're up to 18 or 20 states now that have a planning team or are about to have a planning team. So we're excited about that growth. But we also had the other dynamic of our national partners, as you know, which our next session is going to be our national partners panel. And that really that was where we saw the explosion of growth, right? I know there's a couple of new chairs in the room, so this is really the impetus for that growth. American Library Association, especially with getting all of their member libraries involved and running Money Smart Week through that organization has really expanded Money Smart Week, and it's the reason why we're in 50 states. It really is. CFPB, CFP Board, Financial Planning Association, Cooperative Extension through USDA, all these groups are really pushing Money Smart Week at a national level and put us where we are today. So going back to that SWOT analysis. So we did share some of this. We've been talking about this on our chair calls. But this is some of our findings. Our strengths. The SWOT is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And some of the strengths were, obviously the brand, right? We have built a reputable brand, and we are using it effectively across the country. The partnerships that we've been able to establish, not only the national partners I just showed, but everyone else in the room, right? All the 4,000 registered partners we have in the system. The sharing of resources, right? This is what makes this campaign work, right? Because we have to be able to leverage all the resources in the room in order to have the impact that we do. And of course the results, right? So we have seen a lot of results and positive numbers over the life of Money Smart Week. So these are all strengths. Our weaknesses, of course, the resources, right? Those are limited. And that's not just true for us at the Fed, but it's true for all of you, right? So that's always going to be a weakness no matter what SWOT analysis you put together for any program or company. That's always going to be a weakness. And then another that was interesting was the public relations aspect of Money Smart Week versus the transformative nature of financial education, right? So are we just providing awareness, or are we actually changing people's lives? So that's kind of a more philosophical question that we probably have to dig deeper into. We don't really have the tools and resources to do some of those in-depth research projects after the fact to find out if people actually implementing this information. But it's something that's always on our minds, right? Can we do a more effective job of figuring out what kind of difference we're making? But clearly, we're making a difference, and we're providing information to people and providing awareness, right? People know about this, people are engaging it, and they're coming to the events. Web tech, right? So, that's another area that's, we have a website, we have an application, but it's becoming dated. Can we use it more effectively? How can we use more technology? Different delivery channels to real audiences, like millennials, for example. Opportunities, do we need a mission? Do we need a focus, right? And so, like I said, we never had a clear vision statement, mission statement. We've never had that before. So part of this process was creating that. Tools, programs. Can we develop tools like geocache for college cash that we tried in limited states last year? Can we, do programs like that, additional programs that we can roll out in different markets? Leveraging national partners, right? And we're doing that, but can we do that more effectively? Can we, have them engage their members more effectively? Can we bring additional national partners on board to help us spread Money Smart Week even further? And then threats, quality control. This is something that came out. We can't be in every classroom. We really can't. And all of you are kind of like our police. You're our Money Smart police, especially the librarians in the room. I say the librarians, that a lot of 40% of our events take place at libraries. So we're really leaning heavily on the facilitators and the site providers to make sure that the partners are not selling products and services and that sort of thing, right? But, is there any other controls that we can put in place? Is there a curriculum standards? I think that's down the road that we're going to talk about some of those things and figure out some solutions for that. But we've talked with Financial Planners Association, Foundation for Financial Planning, on how we might mitigate that with some of the planners and have them use some of the curriculum that they have already housed in a library online, those sort of things. branding, right? So making sure that we're using the branding consistently across the board, that folks are not changing Money Smart Week into something different. Getting some of our sister campaigns to come back into the fold. And I was talking to Stacy Martin from the Colorado branch last night, and she was talking about how they effectively moved over from their old Money Smart Week website to our website. So those kind of those initial adapters that just looked at our template and replicated it, but we didn't have the infrastructure for them to plug in. So some of that branding could be a problem down the road for some of those campaigns. And then as Elise was mentioning, public interest, right? So there's a lot of those themes came up. People are more interested in Kim Kardashian than they are about money. So how do we continue to engage folks and reach them where they are? Which may be online or through their workplace, right? How do we reach them where they are? So, vision statement. Now, keep in mind that again, we've never had a vision statement. We've never had a mission statement, and what we try to accomplish here is just simplify it, just down to its bare bones. What are we trying to be? So that's our vision. What are we trying to be, right? What do we aspire to be? And then the mission is what we do and how we do it. So, vision statement. Pretty simple. Money Smart Week empowers people with the knowledge and understanding to make better informed personal finance decisions, right? At its core, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help people make better financial decisions as a collective, right? That's what we're trying to do. It's very simple. It wasn't rocket science to put this together. It's just actually putting together those words and making it an official vision statement. Same with the mission statement. Again, this is, what we do and how we do it. And this is going to be, put on our new website, which I'll talk about in a minute. Money Smart Week is a catalyst for financial education via a national network of partners who provide free, unbiased information and tools to help people better manage their personal finances, right? So again, that's who we are, that's what we do, that's how we do it. So again, not anything groundbreaking here, but we're just putting this together to be our official, mission going forward. So that was part of the process of the strategic plan and SWOT analysis. So the strategic plan, I'm going to identify 3 of our 4 pillars. We do have another pillar that is more kind of internal focus, but the ones that really kind of matter to you will be the position Money Smart Week as a national program, which we already are kind of there, but we're going to talk about how to do that more effectively. Facilitate a world-class network of partners, again, which we kind of already have, but how to do it more effectively. And redefine Money Smart Week facilitator role, which is basically the Chicago Fed. So we'll talk about some of those changes. And some of these, again, I've highlighted in our talks, in the wrap-up meetings, in the chair call that we had last week, but I want to go into a little bit more detail. So I apologize for all the copy here. I know it's not best for PowerPoint, but I do want to get some details to you. So our first strategic plan is to position as a national program. And first and foremost, one of the things that we found in the SWOT analysis was just that we need to streamline communication channels so that we can broadcast more broadly, as opposed to this individual communication we're having with partners that is really resource intensive, right? With a small staff, it's hard, especially during campaign time, to do that. So how are we doing this? Well, we already started to do this. We've implemented new things over the past year. But some of these we already had in place, like the chair calls, right? So all of you are invited to call in on a monthly basis so that we can broadcast this information to everyone at once or a couple times. Quarterly email updates. So you saw the email that went out, was it last week? I think it was last week or earlier this week, to all of our registered partners. So we'll have that quarterly update so that they know what's happening with the campaign. Webinar series. So we started that last year. We had a few, best practices. We had a orientation. We had I can't remember what the other, but so we're going to do more of that, right? So have the webinars that we can package for all of you as partners to showcase some of these things so that you can just implement. So maybe it's going to be about the first one, as I talked about in our call last week, is going to be our new partner orientation, which I think is October 13th. But anyhow, just these webinars to help communicate broadly to everyone, as opposed to like this individual conversations that, again, really kind of stifle the staff and limit our capacity. Videos, right? So we did the Partner Minute video, right? So we implemented that year. So more of that, and maybe more how-to videos, more FAQ videos that we're going to introduce into the new website. So another really big component to the strategic plan is how can we lean more heavily on our national partners, right? Or at least, look at how the resources they have at their disposal and how they can plug Money Smart Week right into it. And again, that's essentially what we've been doing with national partners, but we really want to look at them as being a main contact for all of the individual organizations that are participating. The best example, I'm gonna keep picking on you, Michael, but the best example really is ALA when it comes to a membership type of organization. Obviously, CFPB is very different in terms of what services you provide. But for example, in Florida, we have, I don't even know, at least a couple dozen, probably more, maybe closer to 50 libraries that are participating in Money Smart Week without a planning team, without any resources, right? And they're still getting media coverage, and they're still, having healthy conversations and attendance at their events without that infrastructure, right? So how can we, engage other national partners to do the same, so that they're really kind of driving a lot of activity at the grassroots level, at the local level, at the individual partner level. And again, what that allows us to do as a Money Smart Week staff is that we're not dealing with so much with that day-to-day partner management, which we will not completely go away from. Don't worry. But then again, it's a shift of trying to leverage the resources and capacity of our national partners, and we can work on more broader programs and initiatives like geocache. I keep going back to that. Or as Elisa mentioned, we did a couple of years in a row the scavenger hunt, right? Can we use more app-based tools to reach people and provide them to everyone, all partners, so that you can engage and use those, right? Because currently, as we are very resource heavy in our district, in the 7th district, right? So we're trying to, invest more into resources that are going to be able to impact everyone and everyone can use. So another is the National Champion Kit, and we're calling them champions now. So our national partners are now our national champions. So it sounds better. So we've elevated your status. So we're going to put together a kit, just like we have kits for you. We have kits for partners. We have kits for chairs. We're going to do something for our national partners, which we don't have currently. Just again, so to give them a list of things that they can do to roll out Money Smart Week in their organization. And they're going to be tailored because, again, we're dealing with very different types of organizations when you're looking at CFPB and ALA and Foundation for Financial Planning, et cetera. So that's some of that. And our goal is to expand our national partners to have about 10 or 15 partners by 2020. And to give you a kind of a better sense of what we're trying to accomplish here is, fortunately, when you register as a partner, we're able to see what type of organization, you self-select what type of organization you are. So we can see here in raw number and percentage how many libraries versus nonprofit versus financial advisors, et cetera, right? And our goal is to have a associated national partner, right, for all of these different groups. Now, we already have a couple, covered with the library, financial advisors and schools and universities. Obviously, we could add a couple more to each of these categories. But our goal, again, is maybe for the bankers, we're looking at the American Bankers Association, for example, right? Can we bring them on as a national partner, the Credit Union League, these different type of national institutions that have the ability to spread Money Smart Week throughout the country, and again, serve as that resource for individual group banks or credit unions to engage. So, and I thought that was a pretty interesting mix of organization type, right? I mean, we can see where we're heavy and where we're light, and that may be useful to you as a chairperson, right? I mean, I know this is a national look, but you can kind of get a sense of what kind of mix of organizations we have involved in Money Smart Week. So, strategic plan, or pillar number 2, is to facilitate a world-class network of partners. What does that mean? All right, so improving content quality, consistency. Again, we need to be better about this. Onboarding, training units for new partners, right? Currently, we have a new partner register, and we might send them we do send them an email that has some basic information and go to the website. But we need a little bit more, especially for folks that just hear about it outside of our planning teams. And so we're going to provide a very robust online training. I'm not going to promise that for October 13th, but we are going to, in the future, going to have a more robust orientation and onboarding for new partners. And better identify and share best practices. I know we're going to do a lot of that here today and tomorrow. I know we're going to share these videos, and we have videos from our last conferences, but we just don't have them packaged really well on the website. and we're not continuing to get those best practices packaged well on the website. So how can we do that, and how we can have a library of this information and content so that you can access it all the time, and it's easy for new partners to access. Curriculum standards for partner initiatives. Again, this is something we've been talking about. I'm going to push this down the road a little bit, but because this is a 4-year strategy. But there are some concerns about curriculum standards, right? So we have to have those conversations, and I do not want to have to approve everyone's presentation. That is not happening. But there still should be some standards, and again, a lot of this is happening at the local level. At the chair level, you're doing a lot of this, right? You're kind of, making sure that some of the presenters are legit, and the host facilities are doing that. But is there a more efficient way that we can do that, or is there kind of some guidance we can provide, at the very least, on our website for chairs on how to do this, right? So that's something we're talking about, but again, that's going to be at the latter part of the rollout. And a mechanism to recognize partners, and that's something that, unfortunately, we've been pretty bad about. And, Kelly, you had a great idea at our wrap-up in Detroit. It's like, we should just give out some awards, and we did like little Ben Franklin busts to some of our, partners that did a lot for the campaign, That was kind of a test run. But, how can we do a little bit more recognition for partners? Because, again, and I know I say it all the time. I know I say thank you all the time. But is there, a way that we can, really recognize our individual partners, and not just you as chairs, because all of you do a lot, and we really want to make sure that we're recognizing you. But of course, even the local partners, how can you do a better job of recognizing everyone that's involved? So again, these are all things that still have to be developed further, but these are some of the main points of the idea here. Leverage financial sponsors. So this is an area that we play in a little, but because we're the Federal Reserve Bank, we have to be very careful. You know this, right? And we kind of have all these legal agreements that we provide in your chair kit and how you engage sponsors and all that. But we know that if we're going to survive and make this a legitimate national campaign, that we really need to look at some potential national sponsorships. I mean, we have some very good ones on board already that support, regional or local activities, Country Financial, Visa, BMO Harris, forgetting a few I know, but so we have a lot, and all of you and your individual planning teams have a lot of individual sponsors that are helping you locally. So, but again, how can we engage someone nationally so that the NFL is putting out PSAs about Money Smart Week or something like that? This is just an example, but how can we engage those type of sponsorships at the national level so that advertising and promotion benefits all of us, right? So these are some of the things that we're going to start developing a plan for that. And even looking at some of our current sponsors now and seeing, hey, maybe you guys want to elevate to a national sponsor, right? So no pressure. But anyway, so our plan is to next year to develop this, in hand with legal to make sure that we're not breaking any rules here at the Fed. But how can we provide an opportunity for national players to get involved and support Money Smart Week in a big way? Or even like support contests, right? Maybe there's a national contest that a sponsor can get behind, and that's really kind of the stuff we want to focus on, so that everyone benefits. So redefining the management role of the Fed, right? So this is a big one, and again, this is really kind of a capacity issue. But I think some of the ways that we've thought about recreating this or repositioning the Fed, I really truly believe. Again, as I said earlier, going through the process, I was like, no way, we can't do this, but I think we're going to be better for it. And Money Smart Week is going to be bigger and better than it's ever been, I promise. So what we're going to do is we're going to, again, this is kind of a repeat of earlier, but align with those national partners so that we're engaging mostly with our national partners so that there's that top-down approach. We are still going to engage with all of you as chairs and have calls and check-ins and things like that, but really kind of trying to look at those national partners as our drivers for Money Smart Week. And then reallocation of resources, right? So again, we have limited resources here at the Fed. How do we best effectively use them? As you know, for a long time, and this is really kind of more of a conversation with our in-district partners versus out-district partners, right? Because in-district, we provided many more resources than out-district. Venus is always like, hey, what about us in Atlanta, right? So what we're going to try to do to make that process a little bit more fair and also to accommodate all of this growth, right, is that we have to make some adjustments. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to immediately invest into technology. So the website, that's all going to be new for you. And I'm not going to make any promises, but the goal is to have a new website, new database by January. Okay? That's I'm going like this too. Pending contracts, we'll have that in play. That's my IT guy over there, our resident IT guy, Clappins, by the way, because he hates our website and hates our database. Yeah, so do we. So that's our immediate investment, right? Is how can we get a new website that's much more user-friendly, a database application that's much more user-friendly, right? As you know, the one we've had is fairly customized for what we need, but it's getting outdated and it's not easy to use, right? And partners have come, even though you've adjusted to it, it's not the best. And I know, Melissa, you're probably saying yay inside too. So we're gonna look to do that. And again, I'm not promising that we're gonna have for 2016. That's the goal. But in case contracts and negotiations takes a little longer, we may actually have to wait until 2017 to roll it out and still use it. But that decision is yet to come. We're going to figure out what's happening with the contracts here. But our hope is to have a brand new website that, again, is going to, and we're looking to combine, we had thought to go, the two website option was the best, but we're going to now combine it into one, so it's all housed in one place, but a portal for partners and that sort of thing. But I'm really excited about the database, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that in a moment. But so we're going to focus on that. We're going to focus on program development. Like I said, some of these larger type programs that we can support from the Fed level and national level so that you can use locally, like geocache. I keep going back to that example, but that was kind of our test run last year. We're going to downsize, but we're still going to keep some funding for traditional marketing, right? So some of you that are in district, you're thinking, okay, how is this going to affect me? We are still going to do some of those traditional marketing. We're going to support you that way and keep that. I'll get to it. First, invest in social media and e-based learning tools, right? So again, some of our redirection is going to be going into some of that social media advertising or tools that use social media effectively to promote Money Smart Week. Develop a planning team incubator plan, and this was actually an idea of Melissa Leibert's from the country, which I thought was great. Can we provide some seed funding for our new campaigns coming up, right? No matter where they're from. And so, one of them is Charlotte, North Carolina. I was just there 2 weeks ago. Charlotte, North Carolina is coming on board. Can we provide them some support? Now, we don't have the full plan developed yet, so that probably won't be in effect until 2017, but still, Charlotte will be our test run. How can we provide them some seed funding? How can we assign them a sister campaign as a mentor, right? So if one of the planning team says, we agree to be a mentor and consult with them in addition to us, those type of things we're looking at for the incubator program. And only taking a few every year, because there is a potential as this gets bigger that we're going to have multiple planning teams wanting to participate, and that's great, but again, resources, there may be some type of application process to receive some of these fundings. Big one. Eliminate printing and shipping. And I know that that's going to be a strain on a lot of folks, and I get it. And we've had this conversation every year for several years. When I say that in our Chicago meetings, everyone's ready to throw tomatoes at me, or Detroit. We still are going to provide the files so that you can download the flyers and the bookmarks and posters. So you still can download them like we have always had the ability to. But you have to realize that our cost of printing and shipping, literally hundreds of thousands, almost close to 1 million pieces, has become cost prohibitive. And one of the biggest issues that has really forced us in this direction even further is that we had an in-house print shop that closed down. And all of that was a soft cost hit to my budget, and now it's a hard cost. And that's a pretty significant change, and it's really forcing us into this. I had a vision that we were going to do this over a phased period of time, but this is really forcing our hand here. But I think it's for the better. I really do. Again, we will have these resources available for you to download. We are even talking with our print vendor to have those files so that you can print on demand if you'd like to. If you find a sponsor in your local planning teams that would like to sponsor and print some on their own, or if you would like to print some on your own, you can do that. So we're going to provide an online store so that you can do that. But again, trying to really push social media, trying to push some of this online marketing and promotion is really where we're headed. But again, those materials will be available for some local sponsorship. So I know that's a big one. And then even like the event funding. So that's another semi-big one where, a lot of these individual local campaigns, or I'm sorry, kickoff events, right, particularly in district, have become a challenge for us to coordinate and produce. I mean, you would be surprised at the amount of hoops I have to jump through here at the Fed to give you $500. Okay, it's really quite remarkable. So we're trying to limit again some of that activity and strain on staff and resources here, and I hope that you can find a sponsor at the local level that can help out with it, because we were only helping planning teams at about that level anyhow. So if we can find local sponsors in our district that are able to step up, that would be great. And the other one that we're looking at, and this is yet to be determined because there's a lot of things that have to fall in place for this, and even more specifically with some national sponsors, but we are looking to look at having a national annual conference. So like this, but much larger, where we invite everybody that's registered partner to come get everything you need, your toolkits, all the resources you need to do Money Smart Week, and then go do it, right? So, so that, again, there's less need for us to interact throughout the campaign process, and it's more kind of a self-guided thing. We'll still have chair calls and check-in points and things like that, but certainly, an ability to give everyone they need, the partners what they need up front, and then they go execute. So again, that's pending lots of things, because if we're talking about several thousand of you in a room, obviously we don't fit here. We have to look at venues, we have to look at sponsors, but I think that that's a direction we'd like to head if we can develop that. And again, the whole intent is so that, kind of like United Way, right? You have your big kickoff, everyone has all the companies get their materials, now go do it, right? And then you report back, right? So that's what we're looking to kind of replicate there. And we would enhance the conference would probably be several days, right? And much more content available, much more professional development available, trying to add those kind of components to a conference like this. All right, so I don't think I need to really convince all of you that online is where we need to go. Well, maybe some of you, but but certainly, the stats are in that favor, right? I mean, Lisa was talking so much about millennials and how we reach them. Now, I know that, and this is, one of the issues that we have with Money Smart Week, is that we know that the majority of folks that are coming to the classes, are not millennials, right? We know that. So we still are going to have this issue with reaching some of those audiences and the people that are coming, but I think those people are going to come anyway because they're interested, right? And we're still going to be able to engage them through other promotional efforts or marketing efforts locally. But certainly, there's going to be a time where everyone is mobile. Everyone is using technology the way millennials do, right? So you look at the total population at the far left. You look at active internet users, right? So almost half. Active social media accounts, right? So 2 billion of the 7 billion are using social media accounts. And then you can see how many are using, how many mobile users are there, right? So nearly more than half of the population has a mobile phone, right? So we know these stats. We know that people are using technology more. We know that people are online and engaging through social media, et cetera. And then, of course, how many billion are active on their social media via their smartphones, right? So again, the whole goal is to trying to get Money Smart Week to so we can distribute this information to those folks online, right? So how can we use other medium? I know this is not quite online, but Town Hall I know has worked really well. That's a telephone base, so it's a little older technology, but still very effective. We used in West Virginia and in Wisconsin, Iowa, right? So different ways that we can engage people much more broadly. Webinars, right? How can we, because here's the thing, if we're going to be pushing people to more online resources and to our website, I think we need to engage them differently, right? I mean, we're still always going to have those classes. We're still going to have the classes at libraries. I think those are very important. But how can we reach different audiences through different medium? Skype, can we use Skype to have small sessions, short sessions, right? And I'm kind of challenging all of you to do this and start incorporating this into your slate of programming. Periscope. I was surprised Josh didn't know about Periscope. Who's heard about Periscope? You see? Okay, it's awesome. Isn't it Periscope awesome? So Periscope is a social media tool where you can live broadcast from wherever you are, right? So right now, if you wanted to pull up your Periscope account and video me, I would be broadcast via Periscope, and anyone, are you doing that? Is someone doing that? Right, and so, and the idea is, again, anyone can check in, and you have a map. You can zoom in to any part of the country and see what's happening there and who's live broadcasting. The other night I was telling Josh, there was a reporter live on the air in New York at CBS that was periscoping, so I was kind of seeing the behind the scenes of that. And then I was with some guys in central Mexico that were playing poker. It just doesn't matter. You could just drop in anywhere. But how can we use that to deliver financial education to young people who are on there, right? Even if it's short tidbits, even if you're on there for 5 minutes talking about, hey, these are some things you might want to try with managing your money, right? So different ways that we can use these mediums to reach people. And I'm just, again, challenging you, because if we're going to be pushing people online, we want to be able to provide content online, right? So this is some of the things that I thought would work. So again, the online experience, as I said, this will be completely redone. And see, here's some of the enhancements. So we're going to have a complete new design and layout. So what I'm told is it's going to be completely brand new and different than we've ever seen. So I'm kind of hopeful for that, so that we look, edgy and we look hip, right? And we look like we're something that people want to see. All your data is going to migrate over to this new system. Okay, so what does that mean? You do not have to re-register as a partner. And I think that's a big deal, because if I had to have all of you re-register, that would be a big deal. So that's some good news. The state structure is going to be retired. And what does that mean? Currently, when you register in Illinois, you can only add events in Illinois. That's bad for people that are regionally. That's bad for national sponsors or partners. So we're going to get rid of that entirely. So now you'll be able to register and add events anywhere. However, the chairs, we'll give all of you as chairs that are chairs and access, elevated access like we do now, but you'll only be able to see and approve events in your region, right? So I believe, we haven't worked out the details yet, but I believe it's just we can set a radius, a mile radius, and we'll be generous so that you have plenty, but you'll be able to approve the events in your radius. And the same goes for partners. So currently, if you log in, you can go into anyone's event and edit anyone's event. That's a bad thing, right? And mostly it's probably just accidental if it does happen. I haven't seen it happen, but if it were to happen, it would likely be accidental. But still, when you register, you're only going to be able to see and manipulate the events that you've registered, unless you're a chair. Then you have the ability to see your larger group. Social media integration. So we're looking at, when you do post an event and it gets approved, that you're able to broadcast it via social media tied with the application. Say, hey, we just created this event, and push it out through your social media channels. Consumers, if they register for an event, they can say, hey, I just signed up for this event, and they share it with their friends via social media. It's going to be a fully searchable application, right? So, and we kind of have that now, right, where you can search by state, zip code, things like that. But this is going to be just better. Trust me, it's going to be much more functionally apt for what we're looking for. And as I said, the public can RSVP. This is another kind of feature of this. It can be turned off, but public can RSVP through the tool, so that you have a list of everyone registered. You have the ability, and then they will get automatic reminders when the event is coming up that, hey, you signed up an RSVP for this event. So lots of the kind of bells and whistles that this new application and tool is going to have that we're excited about. Again, these are all still in development, so I'll believe all of them when I see them, but I know that most of them are going to be pushed out, and that's what we're hoping for. Like I said, I wish I had something to show you today, but we're still kind of in the contract process. So again, I think all good things, and it's going to be much more effective for what we're trying to do with our pushing out events. So other things still in development, just kind of news items, so just kind of updates I want to end here with. And I kind of talked about some of these on our last chair call, but I feel like I should go over a couple of these again. Logos and promotional materials for this year are available to download, right? So if you go to the website, the partner website, moneysmartweekpartners.org, you can get all of the updated logos. Promotional materials are supposed to be up by tomorrow, but again, those are available for download. The chair and partner kits are still in development because, again, we're still not sure about the website yet, so I apologize that those are a little late. Usually we like to have those kits available to you now, but those are probably going to be about a month delayed because we're just trying to figure out what the process is actually going to be with the new website. Okay. MSWreports.org, that's our annual report, so hopefully we should have that up soon. We've been working on it all summer, so it's basically just an update of the campaign. So if you saw last year's, right now if you go to MSWreports.org, you'll see the 2014 annual report, but you can certainly pull up the new one in the next week or so. New partner orientation, as I mentioned, is going to be October 13th, so it's going to be the first in our webinar series. And it's going to be just like the chair calls. We'll send out an official invite, so don't worry. We'll send you an email. But this is for all of the registered partners. So, and we're going to try to be as generic as possible because I know that some of you have very specific ways that you like people to register or you like them to notify, et cetera. But we're going to be very generic about how you register and what are the roles and responsibilities as a partner are, right? So cover that orientation process. Online store, like I said, we're looking to build that with our vendor so that you can go and purchase your materials via the vendor. Or again, download them for free via the website. Database switched to 2016. Like I said, we're still waiting to see what happens with the new website. So if we are guaranteed a January completion date, then we will not transition the database right now, because as you know, I have to flip a switch so that you can start entering events for 2016, and I haven't done that yet because I'm waiting to see what happens with the website. But either way, when we decide what's going to happen, we'll let you know. 26 Money Smart Kid question. So I know that we typically, from the Chicago Fed office, we send out a proposed question. If you do run a local Money Smart Kid contest, it's just a suggestion. You don't have to use it. We prefer to use it if you do, but we'll have those available soon. And national program activity packages. So as I said, some of these national packages that we want to put out that we can all plug into, like geocache. I'm working with Joanne on some of those right now, so we may have at least geocache, but we may have another one or two that we're going to put together so that you can use during Money Smart Week 2016. So we're working on those. And all partner webinar series, I talked about that. The partner video minutes are coming out. The website refresh, again, I'll keep you posted what's going on. And I already mentioned this, but we want to welcome Charlotte, North Carolina. Who else is here from Charlotte? Name? Sandy. Sandy from the Council on Economic Education in North Carolina has decided to chair. So with 2 weeks' notice, she's here and ready to lead Charlotte, North Carolina. So thank you, Sandy. And to Jackie, who's here from Ally Financial, who really put this all together. So thank you for getting that started. Okay. All right. So we have a few minutes here. Questions? I know I just threw a lot at you. I know I did. Yes, Kelly.
Question about the new partner orientation video in terms of what time and there was a question about the new partner orientation video, and that will be a live webinar, but that will be posted for on-demand viewing after, right? Because a lot of teachers are in class and so forth.
Yeah, the orientation, we have it set up for 2 different times, just like the chair calls. Central time, it's 10:30 and 3 p.m. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to record.
Oh.
That's one of the drawbacks with the webinars and our firewalls here at the Fed. And I'm correct, right, Josh, that we cannot record the webinars? Or that it's difficult?
For now, we cannot.
Okay, so that's the problem there.
So that could be converted, though, and produced into a video that could be posted? Because
right.
We have a lot of partners that are in classrooms during the day. And
we can certainly do that. We can do a re-record of a video to kind of go over some of these things, absolutely.
The PowerPoint presentation that you just shared,
will the PowerPoint presentation that you just used be available to us?
It will. So what we're going to do next week, we'll put everyone's presentations online. We're also recording the sessions, so the video will be available. And those will be all packaged onto the website so that you can access them.
thank you.
You guys looked at creating an app that just pull down menus for this state and see the events?
Yeah, well, so the question is, have we ever looked at putting together an app for the events? And the good news about what we're looking at for the website is that it's very app-like. So it's going to have a lot of functionality. It's going to be responsive to adjust to your phone. It's going to have that look and feel to it. So we felt like it was kind of not a good use of resources to spend the kind of money that it takes to build an app if we already have that kind of functionality built into the website. So you'll see it when it comes out, but it should be pretty app-friendly, or look like and feel like an app. You still have to go to the website, of course, but over here.
Morning, Leo. Just wondered if there's going to be any presence this year for the At the Workplace initiative. whether on the website or something like that?
We have a pretty robust at the workplace committee in Chicago that's put together a lot of best practices and a way to reach out to workplaces. So that may be something we look at as future as like, something we can package as a national program that we roll out to everyone, or at least a best practice. But we will certainly have it in Chicago because we have already a committee. But I don't know about like putting it out there for everyone yet. We may have to talk about how to develop that further or provide it so that it can be easily implemented or copied in other markets.
We'd be happy to help roll
Okay.
it nationally too.
Good. All right.
Okay, well, now I have two questions. The at the workplace, does that have anything to do with the putting your paycheck to work? Or is that something different?
Something different.
Okay,
Something different.
because we're utilizing that. But the other thing is you said you were working with Joanne on a couple of, games like geocache. Any of those for the community? Wouldn't it be great if we could have something like geocache on the public buses or something like that while people are on buses with their phones, answers and entering a contest?
I didn't get that last part. Would it be what?
Wouldn't it be great to have a game like geocache
Right.
on the public transportation, on the public buses, so people who are riding those buses could enter a contest and answer questions with their phone?
That's a great idea, right? To have maybe the placards that,
Exactly.
have that. That's a good idea. Yeah. Well, you'll be on a panel later, so bring that up again on the best practices. Bring that up again. I'll take two more questions, or three more.
This is a quick one. Alejo, this may have been a problem with my firewall, but when the email went out with the partner webinar
Yeah.
announcement, it didn't have any details to register or what time, and then when I went to the website, it wasn't there either. Is there going to be an email come out? Because we have a lot of new partners.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So the email we sent out last week was just to kind of give you a heads up of the date. But you're right. Yes, we have to actually send the official invite that has the link and the phone number. You're right. We have to do that. So. Anyone else? Oh, is it right here in front?
Just interested, what do you look for in a national partner or national?
Like I said, they're all tailored because they're very different types of organizations, but the ones that we have on board are kind of the examples, right? So maybe a national partner that has the ability to mobilize lots of different people, like librarians or financial planners or bankers, right? So membership type groups are the big ones. But then you have some of the partners like CFPB that can provide some additional resources and tools online. We're going to talk about some of that stuff in the next session. That everyone can use, right? Some of the stuff that they're doing, and as well as some of the initiatives they're rolling out through the libraries, right? That you can all tap into or try to work with them on. And then I guess the others would be kind of ones that can really sponsor Money Smart Week, right? And get behind it, with advertising or promotion and that sort of thing. So those are kind of the three buckets, I would say. Yeah.
How close are we to performance drivers or scorecards on a local level so that we know year over year what we're collectively moving toward?
Scorecards in terms of like impact, like individual, like whether or not they're actually taking advantage of the programming.
Yes. Impact, data models, metrics. For example, if I'm going to a corporate partner and they want to know what the return on investment.
Sure.
Consistently market to market so that they can become a national partner.
Yep.
How far are we away from some type of scorecard so that we as chairs know how to strategically pick providers,
Sure.
focus on programs, et cetera?
Well, I guess the answer to that is that we have the data we have is not necessarily, whether or not people are making changes in their financial picture, right? We have the data that people are attending. We have the data that we're reaching people through Medium. That we have this many events, this many. So those type numbers we have, and that's what we use. But we don't currently have the resources or researchers involved that are really trying to dive deep into communities to see, okay, are these folks actually using this information? Are they making change in their financial lives? And we've kind of talked about whether or not that's our role. Number one, right? Our role is kind of more like we need to get the information in front of you. We need to get the information to as many people as possible. So there's a question of the role, but there's also a question of the resources, right? So that would be a massive undertaking to follow up with folks and have, different, what's the word I'm looking for? The longitudinal studies and the groups that are, anyhow, so it just takes a lot of effort, and we would have to have a major university involved to do something like that. And again, there's a question of whether or not that's our role.
So, the participants that are gonna go to the workshop, you all are moving towards having them register online? Is that what you're moving towards?
Well, I believe at this point it's going to be an option for you to turn on or off as an individual partner in an event. But yes, I mean, we'll have that functionality. We know that that's a possibility with what the program we're looking at, so that people can just RSVP right through the website. I know that might be some institutions might have an issue with that because you want them to register through your hotline or through your website. But again, I think it might be an option for you to choose. But the good thing is you'll have them, registered, and they'll get reminders. You unfortunately won't be able to see their email addresses because we don't want partners to abuse that. But they can register for the event, and the tool will communicate to them directly.
Because I was gonna say, wouldn't that be a good way to kind of get feedback and then, keep in contact with those who are registered?
Absolutely. So as the administrator of the application, we will have the ability, the Fed will have the ability to email all of those registered partners or registered consumers to follow with surveys, to engage them, to remind them of the events coming up, things like that as well. Even though it'll be automated, but we'll be able to have to contact them throughout the year. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a wrap for now. I'm going to be around for. Oh, wait, one more question.
Are you going to have the bags of shredded money and the pens available this year?
Yeah, those are another consequence of the redirection. So for purchase, we're looking at that as an option for purchase. But again, I know that that's going to be a big blow to some of our local campaigns that you rely on some of those things. But if there's a local sponsor that's able to step up or wants to provide some of those, they can. But certainly, it's and I know it's a disappointment. I know people love the shreds. Contrary to what Elise said, I know all of you love shreds. So yeah, that's another redirection. So. All right, well, that's all for now.